As the investigation unfolded in the Sutherland Springs shooting, we discovered the shooter, Devin Kelley's history of domestic violence and an ongoing dispute with his wife's family that led to the shooting. In fact, Kelley was court-martialed for attacking his ex-wife and her child. Domestic violence played a large role in the shooting and in many other mass shootings. A recent report from a gun control group shows more than half of mass shootings relate to domestic or family violence. Joining us now is Marta Pelaez, President and CEO of Family Violence Prevention, who can tell us more about the scope of this problem. Good morning, Marta.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
So Bexar County has one of the highest domestic violence homicides. What numbers are you exactly seeing at the shelter?
As I always say, Bexar County unfortunately occupies a place of dishonorable distinction, very unfortunate. We have 183 women and children at the shelter today. That is quite a departure from 4 years ago, where our daily average census was 68 people.
When tragedies like this happen, when domestic violence cases happen, we always ask ourselves, how can we avoid this before it's too late?
I think that one important thing is to know what the science of domestic violence is. It's very easy to say, oh, I would know if I'm abused. However, domestic violence is progressive. It does not begin with someone putting a gun to your head. It does not begin with the awful, awful events that we witnessed a few days ago. It begins in very subtle ways. It begins with psychological controlling behaviors, with very discreet, manipulative ways to relate to one another. For example, I need to know exactly where you've been. It is a pattern of behavior. It is not something that happens one time. It is not a dispute. It is a phenomenon. It has a constellation of factors over time, renders the victim, like you have seen many times, we've all seen many times, people asking, why didn't you leave? Well, it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
So with these signs to look out for, it's a slow progression. How can you tell the difference when it's a threat of angry words versus a threat that's actually should be taken seriously?
When two people are in a healthy relationship, there are all kinds of emotions, and we all expect to go through all kinds of emotions as you adjust to one another, and maybe later in life after you've lived with this person many times. But there is one emotion that should never exist in a healthy relationship, and that is fear. You are not to be afraid of the person that claims to love you, respect you, protect you. That is not the same person. So if you are afraid and you progressively become more and more afraid about that person, I can say you are being abused.
And victims certainly aren't alone in this. We can all do something. We all have the power to help.
Absolutely. 1 in 3 women, so that is a lot of people among us. 1 in 3 women is in a situation of abuse. So there are many of us who already know these things. If you know of someone, please remind that person in a tactful way that there are resources out there. They can call our hotline. We're open all days of the year, all hours of a day. So please seek that help. The other thing that I wanted to say is that the majority of the victims of domestic violence, sadly enough, are not women, definitely are not men, but children.
Thank you very much, Marta, for being here and sharing all of this great information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are not finished looking into this subject. A bit later in the show, we'll talk to the mother of a woman who died in a domestic violence incident. Stay with us.